Those houses need to burn under my powerful hands. That's what Marjorie Flint, the HOA president, screamed as my family's 80-year-old cabin went up in flames. She stood there laughing like a maniac, while her board members blocked the fire trucks at the gate. Everyone thought she'd won. What she didn't know was that hours before the fire, I had signed a single document that would flip her entire game upside down. Act 1. The conflict begins. My name is Caleb Grant. 15 years as an architect taught me one thing. You don't just plan for the best case. You plan for war. My cabin at Pine Lake, built by my grandfather in 1943, wasn't just wood and stone. It was the place where he taught me to measure twice, cut once, and never bow to bullies. Enter Marjorie Flint. 5 months after moving in, she somehow clawed her way into the HOA presidency. She knocked on my porch one morning with a thick binder of violations and a smile sharp enough to cut glass. "Mr. Grant," she announced, spreading papers across my table. "Your cabin violates 12 separate community codes. You have 30 days to bring it into compliance, or we'll demolish it." I set my coffee down and pulled out my own folder. The original deed, the permits, the grandfather clause that protected everything about my property. "Mrs. Flint," I said, calm but firm, "this cabin is fully protected under county law. Every repair and modification has been permitted. You don't have a case." Her smile didn't fade, but her eyes went cold. Paper doesn't mean much when the community decides it's time for change. That was the beginning of her war. Within weeks, I was drowning in harassment. $500 a day in fines for illegal parking on the same gravel patch I'd used for 15 years. Water and power shut down for maintenance, somehow only affecting my house. At HOA meetings, she stood up with PowerPoints and promises. Luxury resort amenities is a 40% jump in home values. If only that one stubborn cabin wasn't standing in the way. Neighbors I'd known for years started looking at me like I was the villain. And every time I fought back with facts, she doubled down with pressure. I hired an attorney, Elena Foster, to push back. At first I thought she was just another property rights lawyer. She filed injunctions, told me to hold steady. But what she uncovered was worse than either of us expected. Marjorie hadn't just taken the presidency she'd quietly bought, or brokered a controlling interest in 65% of the HOA's voting power through shell companies. She wasn't just president, she was dictator. And behind her stood Blackwood Development, a resort company sniffing around Pine Lake like vultures. My cabin wasn't her target. Our entire community was. Act 2. Escalation and the turning point. The weeks that followed broke me down. Every meeting, every dirty look from a neighbor convinced that I was costing them a fortune. It ate at me. One night I sat alone on my porch, staring at the lake. For the first time, I thought about selling, walking away. Was I really just being selfish? Was I holding everyone back because I couldn't let go of an old cabin and some family memories? I heard my grandfather's voice in my head, steady, gruff, certain. When you meet a bully, don't just react. Think 3 steps ahead. That voice snapped me back. No, I wasn't crazy. She was, and I needed to start thinking like a builder at war. So I did. I called an old college friend, Detective Ray Morrison, who specialized in white-collar crime. He dug up Marjorie's past, suspended from practicing law for falsifying property records in Florida. Similar HOA takeovers in California and Nevada. Always the same pattern. Crush residents with fines. Force them to sell cheap, hand properties to developers. And Blackwood, they were specialists in what Ray called hostile community acquisition. Their model, insert someone like Marjorie, destabilize a neighborhood, buy it all up, flip it to resorts, millions in profit. That night, staring at those reports, I felt 2 things, fear and clarity. So I fought back my way. I designed a hidden safe room under my cabin concrete. Rebar, fireproof, with climate control. Every important document, every piece of evidence went inside. I installed cameras, audio recorders, cloud backups. If she wanted war, she'd get it. And then came the night of fire. At 2:30, my cameras caught her. Marjorie, in the shadows, directing two men as they slid a black device under my porch. Not gasoline, not matches. A professional incendiary rig with a timer. Her voice whispered through my surveillance feed. Just burn the documents. If the cabin goes too, acceptable collateral damage. At 3:15, the explosion hit. The whole cabin ignited like a torch. I stumbled outside in boots and pajamas, smoke clawing at my throat, my skin burning from 50 yards away. And there she was, Marjorie Flint, standing near the fire zone, grinning, laughing, shouting over the roar. "Grant, consider this my victory. Everything you have is ash now." The fire trucks arrived only to be blocked at the entrance by pickup trucks parked sideways across the road. HOA board members, standing shoulder to shoulder, defying the fire chief. 12 minutes passed while my home burned. 12 minutes too long. By dawn, my cabin was gone. Nothing left but the stone chimney my grandfather laid in 43. But here's what Marjorie didn't know. While she celebrated, my underground vault kept everything safe. And my cameras recorded 47 minutes of her crime in crystal clear HD. When I handed that footage to Elena, she dropped a bomb of her own. She pulled out a badge. FBI. She wasn't just my lawyer. She was a federal agent investigating Blackwood for money laundering. My case wasn't about one cabin anymore. It was about a $50 million scheme stretching across 6 states. And now, thanks to Marjorie, they had the smoking gun. Act 3. The showdown. 3 nights later, Marjorie staged her last gamble, an emergency HOA meeting. She spread rumors that I'd burned down my own cabin for insurance money. She printed fake affidavits, doctored footage of me working late at night, twisted every fact. The community center was packed. Neighbors glared at me like I was scum. She strutted to the podium, slides glowing behind her, voice dripping with confidence. "Ladies and gentlemen, Caleb Grant torched his own cabin. He's a fraud, a criminal." That was my cue. I stood up, steady, my heart pounding. "Mrs. Flint," I said, "how exactly do you know the fire started at 3:15 a.m. and reached full intensity in 30 seconds? No official report has been released." Her smile faltered. She stammered something about common sense, about reasonable assumptions. She was digging her own grave. Then came the killing blow. An elderly neighbor, Mrs. Dorothy Hayes, rose from the back, leaning on her cane. Her voice was clear, cutting through the silence. "I couldn't sleep that night. I saw you, Mrs. Flint, you and 2 men, under Caleb's porch at 2:30, and I recorded it." She held up her phone. 47 minutes of video. Marjorie giving instructions, demanding every paper be burned, naming the Pine Lake operation out loud. The room erupted. People gasped, pulled out their own phones, started filming. Marjorie went pale. She grabbed the podium, knuckles white, and then she snapped. "You don't understand," she screamed. "This resort would have made us all rich. Grant is just one selfish man standing in the way of progress." That's when Elena stepped forward, flashing her badge. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Special Agent Elena Foster with the FBI. Blackwood has been arrested. His assets are frozen. Every official who took a bribe is facing federal charges." Marjorie's mouth opened, but no words came. Then she pulled something from her purse, a small black remote. Her eyes were wild. "If I can't have Pine Lake," she hissed, "then nobody can." I planted 6 more devices. "I'll burn it all down." Chaos erupted. Residents screamed, rushed for the doors. FBI agents burst in, guns drawn, bomb squad vehicles outside. For 3 agonizing hours, they swept every corner of our neighborhood, diffusing professional-grade incendiary devices strong enough to level entire blocks. Ray, my detective friend, was the one who finally approached her. Calm, measured. "Marjorie, Blackwood never had the money. He was bankrupt. Even if you'd succeeded, he would have left you holding the bag. Put the remote down. Cooperate. It's your only chance." She looked at Elena, who held up financial records proving it. Her face cracked. The woman who had strutted, manipulated, terrorized, collapsed into a chair, sobbing like a child. "I just wanted power again," she whispered. "I just wanted to matter." And just like that, the Queen of Pine Lake was finished. Final line lesson. When bullies hide behind power and greed, sometimes the only way to win is to think 3 steps ahead.